proton pack is not a toy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Proton Pack is Not a Toy. My name is Matt, and today we're going to talk about the remnants of Ghostbusters you can still find in Orlando, Florida. Now, back in the day, Ghostbusters was a featured attraction at Universal Studios in Orlando, with the screen-used Ecto-1A parked on the street across from the firehouse, where you could go inside and see the Ghostbusters Spooktacular stage show. But unfortunately, that's not something they feature anymore. The Ecto-1 is gone. The firehouse facade is still there, but it has a roller coaster running through the top of it. So there's not a whole lot that they really feature and bring your attention to it and say, hey, this used to be Ghostbusters. The branding is all kind of just moved out and gone. So you kind of have to know where to look for the Ghostbusters related stuff. A lot of it is Jurassic Park and Jurassic World and Harry Potter, Marvel, Jimmy Fallon and the Minions and the Simpsons and Men in Black. There's still some E.T., even Dr. Seuss is involved there at the park. So some of the legacy stuff like Jaws and Back to the Future and Ghostbusters, you kind of have to know where to look. And my family and I made a vacation trip there 5 years ago, and we wanted to go back. And so last week, we made a road trip out there, 7 days, 2,500 miles, and 3 of the days were spent at the Universal Studios park. And we also went, before we got to the park, to Disney Springs, which leads me to the first thing I want to share. If you've never been to Disney Springs, it's cool. It's kind of almost like going to the park, but not really, where you don't have to pay admission or anything, but there's a lot of cool shops and restaurants and things that you just don't normally see at a normal, downtown or tourist attraction area of a city. And I remembered from when we went 5 years ago, there at the Planet Hollywood they have at Disney Springs, they had a display of the flight suit from Ghostbusters 2 that belonged to Ernie Hudson, to Winston Zeddemore. And I wanted to see if it was still on display. They also have a table that has a lot of screen used or production used items, like the police car right here. I took pictures of that and I shared that when I unboxed my police car, and I wanted to see if all that stuff was still there. So we went, we made reservations, had dinner there at Planet Hollywood, and when you go there, you're free to walk around and take pictures of any of the stuff. They have a lot of screen used items from just tons of different movies and franchises. And so I went all the way to the top floor and found that the display with the flight suit is still there, so I took some fresh pictures, and right in front of it, the table is still there, so I got a shot of myself there at the table. Happy to see all that stuff again. And definitely, if you're ever in Orlando, it's an easy way to go and not spend a whole lot of money. Just go to Disney Springs and just go into that Planet Hollywood, and right there at the top. They do change some of the stuff out. I noticed some of the things weren't the same from when we went 5 years ago. Obviously 5 years is a lot of time for things to change, but I don't know how often the Ghostbusters display goes up or comes down, but I was happy to see it was still there where I expected to find it 5 years later. So if you're ever in Orlando and nearby that Planet Hollywood, go see if you can find it. It's cool to be like there right in front of something from our favorite franchise. So while we were there, we also went to the Lego store, and I found a $10 Ghostbusters 2 Lego set. This is the Lady Liberty brickheads that I'm going to call a Ghostbusters 2 Lego set. I haven't built it yet, but I was happy to find that for $10. That's sold me easy. And so that'll go with my Ghostbusters Lego collection over here once I get it built. But besides Disney Springs, I wanted to talk about what you still can find in Universal Studios. Now, if you go in the main park, there's 2 parks at Universal Studios. There's the Islands of Adventure and then the main Universal lot. So go to the main lot, and they're just walking right down the main street. If you just keep walking, you're going to run right into the New York Public Library facade, and then to the left of that on the corner, you'll see the roller coaster going through the firehouse. So it's still cool that it's there and you can take pictures of it. And In the park, I did find one gift shop that had Ghostbusters merch in it. And if you go to the Transformers, which is another property I forgot to mention that's featured there, there's a Transformers ride with a big Optimus Prime there on the top of the entryway. Right across the street, there's a shop. I forgot to get the name of it, but it has a lot of the older properties that aren't really featured there, like Back to the Future and Jaws and E.T. and Ghostbusters. And in the back, there's a pretty good display of pretty full of Ghostbusters items. So t-shirts, hoodies, socks, and underwear even. I picked up a hat because I have like 30 Ghostbusters shirts, and so I picked up a hat so I can have that maybe to wear here on the channel every now and then. It's the same one that you can find on Amazon, but I was able to actually try it on to see how it looked on me there at the shop, which you can't do with Amazon. So I paid a little bit of the vacation tax on it, so a little bit more expensive than I would have paid on Amazon, but just by $5 maybe. So Funko Pops, they have Plasma Series figures and a few other little toy items as well. So that was the main shop that had the Ghostbusters stuff. They even had a signed Sigourney Weaver as Zool picture up on the wall, and so I had to ask to see how much they were charging for that, and they wanted like $600 or more for it. And so I was like, cool, glad it's here, no thanks. But it was cool to see it was there in the shop. That's the one shop that really has a Ghostbusters area featured. There's another shop closer to the front of the Universal Park that's like Betty Boop on one side and Hello Kitty on the other, and in the middle there's a small little display that does have a few of the same Ghostbuster items, but it's going to be the same items that you're going to find in that other shop. So if you're going to check out one shop, check out the one that I talked about first there across from the Transformers ride. Aside from that, there's an area called City Walk that you don't have to pay to go into. There in the park, you don't have to have park admission. And there are two different Universal stores. There's a Universal's big shop, and then there's a Universal Legacy shop. And so I wanted to go to the Legacy shop to see what they had in there. I heard rumors that there were proton packs in there from Halloween Horror Nights, and I was able to find two of them stacked on top of each other there on display with, I'm assuming, was a Pterodog head on top of the display. And then they had some of the flight suits that they've used there in the park with other costumes that they've used. These aren't for sale, they're just there on display there in the shop. And then they did have like a screen that had some images that would change out while you stood there and watched them. And they had some of the old school Ghostbusters stage show pictures that you could see there on that screen, as well as a few pictures and stuff that were scattered around the shop. So they didn't have any Ghostbuster merch you could actually buy there, but that stuff was still cool to see there in person. And the coolest part was being able to actually meet with a couple of viewers here on the channel. Jason and Sarah were able to come out and meet me. I was going to get something from Jason that he was going to send me, and I told him, hey, we're going to be at the park in a couple of weeks if you just want to hang on to it and give us a chance to have a reason to meet up. And he lives there close by. And so they came out, we were able to chat a lot. He had a spring that works well in his pop mechanism that he wanted to share one with me so I could give it a try in mine. And he also gave me a couple of little paints that I could use for some weathering, maybe on my Afterlife HasLab when it shows up, if it needs it. So very cool to get that stuff. He also gave me a couple of shirts that too small for me, but my son loves them. He's already worn them twice, and we haven't even been home a week. So loved having an opportunity to talk to you, Jason. Thank you so much for being a loyal watcher of the channel, and I wish we could have spent more time together to chit chat, but the time we had together it was really cool for me, a cool experience, and hope it was for you guys as well. So that about wraps it up. If you know where to look in Orlando, you can still find some cool Ghostbusters stuff, and the merch isn't as spread out as it would be fun if it had been, but it is cool to still be able to go somewhere and buy stuff like that. I really am a little jealous of the Harry Potters and the Jurassic Worlds that we don't have a featured attraction here in the U.S. where we can go and have that Ghostbusters experience. I know they're starting to do the VR stuff in some places, but to have like a physical place where you can go and take your family and have a Ghostbusters ride or something like that, or Ghostbusters land where you can walk around, would be fun if that still existed, or if maybe one day will exist again. I'd be totally down for that. But it does make me a little jealous of how cool the Harry Potter and Jurassic Park areas are in those parks. They're definitely worth the money to check those out, even if you're not big into roller coasters. Still fun, and my family had a great time. So that's basically my vacation slideshow for you guys. Thanks for sitting through it. Appreciate you guys watching. Please like the video if you don't mind, if you made it this far. And I'll be back soon with another video for modding the Spirit Halloween proton packs. I've still got some stuff that I want to add to this one to kind of go along with what I've already shared here on the channel. But that'll be in an upcoming video. So you guys have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.